All right, guys, we are on our last video of this section. It has been, I don't even know, 4 days of dividing polynomials. It's all connected. We are going to still be dividing polynomials when we go into the next section, which will start tomorrow. So it's important that you understand all the stuff that we've been doing today. Today, this last video is actually going to kind of wrap everything up nicely as well. So let's get in. So in this last video, we're going to do this problem. This problem says to factor completely. And then I gave you a polynomial, x to the third plus 7x squared minus 38x minus 240. Now, normally, when I ask you to factor, we look in our factoring book and we look up one of our concepts for factoring. Since this thing has 4 terms, the concept that we would try would be the box method. I'm going to ask you to trust me right now that this does not factor with the box method. And it's cool if you don't trust me, you can pause the video, you can try it yourself, but it doesn't work out. The box method does not work out nicely for this one. So we need a different method for factoring this. Okay. So if we can find something that divides evenly into this, then we know that that thing is a factor, and then we can work from there to find the rest of the factors. And so I'm just going to throw something out there, and I'll teach you in a future video where I got this parentheses from. But I'm going to say, what if x plus 5 is a factor? I don't know. Maybe it is. Let's check. In our first video today, we learned how to check to see if something is a factor. To see if something is a factor, we need to see if the remainder is the number 0. So we can use our remainder theorem, which says if I plug a -5 into that polynomial and it equals 0, then there will be no remainder and it is a factor. Remember, you do need to take the opposite of the number with the binomial. In our other video, the opposite had already been taken, but in this one, since it says x plus 5, we're going to minus the 5 to the other side, and we're going to plug in a -5. Make sure to surround that -5 with some parentheses to make sure that it stays negative when you're putting the exponent on it. And I chose, well, this is a factor. If I were to divide, my remainder would be 0. So it divides evenly. It'll give us a nice answer when we're done. Now, on your homework tonight, they will tell you what the parentheses is. They will give you that x plus 5 or whatever it happens to be. So you don't have to just randomly guess that. They're going to give it to you. And I'm going to teach you on a future lesson how to figure that out on your own. Okay, so no worries. You'll be able to do it eventually. But let's keep going. The question says factor completely. So I found one of the factors. It's x plus 5. I just need to figure out the other factors. To do that, I'm going to take my polynomial and I'm going to divide it by the x plus 5. I'm going to choose today to use synthetic division just so we can practice a little bit more of what we were doing yesterday. So I'm going to put the -5 in the little box, just like we plugged in the -5 to see what the remainder was. And then my coefficients are 1 for the x to the third, 7 for the x squared, -38 for the x, and then my constant is -240. I was not missing any coefficients in this problem. I'm going to drop down my 1. 1 times -5 is -5. 7 plus -5 is 2. 2 times -5 is -10. -38 plus -10 is -48. -48 times -5 is positive 240. And look at that, we got a remainder of 0. Now, we already knew that was going to happen because we had plugged in the -5 and we knew that we were going to get a remainder of 0. That was kind of the whole point of doing this division. We already knew it was going to work out nicely. What we really need is we need the rest of the answer. So the rest of the answer, I have 1x squared plus 2x minus 48. That is a trinomial, and that I can factor using Xbox. So we need two numbers that multiply to make -48 and add to make 2. Those two numbers are positive 8 and -6. 8 minus 6 is 2. 8 times -6 is -48. Now remember, the original question said to factor completely. And if we look at the original problem, I had an x to the third. So I should have 3-letter x's in my answer. So just don't forget, you want to take that original parentheses that you were given. I was given an x plus 5. I want to also include that as part of my answer. And so x to the third plus 7x squared minus 38x minus 240, factored completely, is x plus 8, x minus 6, and x plus 5. Again, notice x to the third, and I have 3-letter x's in my answer, 3 parentheses with the letter x. On your homework tonight, pay really close attention to what the directions are asking you to do, because a lot of the problems will look very similar. So you will have a problem where you have to factor completely, and then you will have some problems where you have to do what we learned in the first video, which is the remainder theorem. So just read your directions carefully so you know what it's asking. This concludes today's videos.